You have never heard of the man standing next to you. He's at the grocery store buying eggs. He's at the school gate picking up his kids. He's at the airport in line behind you, wearing jeans and a jacket and saying nothing. He doesn't have a name tape. He doesn't have rank insignia. According to the United States Army's official records, he doesn't really exist. He is a Delta Force operator, and everything you think you know about the most elite soldiers on Earth is probably wrong. This is your life, every rank. Let's go. Level 1. The candidate. You are already exceptional. That's the baseline. Delta Force does not recruit civilians. You cannot walk into a recruiter's office and ask for this. By the time you apply, you have already spent years building a record. Special Forces, 75th Ranger Regiment, infantry, or another high-performing military specialty. You are already one of the best soldiers in the United States Army, and you still have a 90% chance of failing. Selection happens twice a year at Camp Dawson, West Virginia. Classes begin with roughly 120 candidates. By the end, they'll keep 12 to 16. Failures come in two forms: physical breakdown, stress fractures, injury, collapse, and psychological quit. Of the two, the psychological quit is more common than most people admit. Elite soldiers, men who have passed every other selection course the military has, simply decide they have had enough. They walk to the nearest cadre member and say they're done. The first phase weeds out anyone not physically prepared. Fitness tests far beyond standard Army requirements. A timed 2-mile run in boots and full uniform. Events designed not to find the fastest, but to find the ones who don't stop when stopping would be reasonable. But the physical part is the easy part. Level 2, the long walk. There is no event in American military selection more feared than this. You are given a map, a compass, and a coordinate. You are carrying a 45-pound rucksack. You step off into mountainous terrain and you start moving. Nobody tells you how far you are going. Nobody tells you your pace. Nobody tells you if you are doing well. At each checkpoint, an instructor hands you a new coordinate. That is all they say. That is all they will ever say. You crest a hill and see another mountain in front of you. You don't know if the next checkpoint is 2 miles or 20. You can't ask. There is no answer. The finish line does not exist until you reach it, and you don't know when that will be. This is the long walk, rumored to exceed 40 miles of brutal terrain, and the deliberate ambiguity is the test, not the distance, not the weight, the not knowing. Of a starting class of 120 elite soldiers, only about 12 to 16 complete it. Many physically capable men quit, not because their bodies gave out, because their minds could not operate effectively in total uncertainty for hours on end. And Delta Force will not take a man whose mind needs certainty to function. The missions don't offer certainty. The missions offer a map and a coordinate, and the expectation that you keep moving regardless. After the long walk, if you finish it, the hardest part begins. Level 3, the board. You've done it. You finished the long walk. You are physically broken. Your feet are destroyed. You have been awake for longer than you can track. Every muscle in your body is operating on reserves it didn't know it had. And now you sit in a room before a panel of the most experienced special operations professionals in the United States military, senior Delta operators, command sergeants, major, a unit psychologist, the Delta Force commander. They ask you about your life, your marriage, your relationship with your children, decisions you made 10 years ago that you haven't thought about since, how you handle failure, what you did wrong in your last deployment, what you would do differently, why you want this. There are no right answers. They aren't testing your knowledge. They are testing your honesty, your maturity, your psychological stability, and whether the person sitting across from them is someone they would trust in the dark with their life. Some men who completed every physical challenge are turned away at this table. Completing the long walk makes you a candidate. The board decides if you become an operator. When the decision is made, it is communicated simply. Some candidates are told they've been selected, others are told they haven't. No elaborate explanation, no appeal. You either have what they're looking for or you don't. Level 4. Operator Training Course. You are selected. The real training begins. The operator training course runs 6 months. It breaks into blocks: marksmanship, demolitions and breaching, combined skills, tradecraft, and executive protection. Marksmanship first. Delta's philosophy, as described by Command Sergeant Major Eric Haney, one of the unit's founding operators, is that the entire U.S. Army preaches training the way you fight, but almost never actually does it. Delta does. You learn to shoot while moving. You learn to identify targets in fractions of a second. You learn to fire without using the sight, acquiring targets through body mechanics and muscle memory alone. And then you go to the shoot house. The shoot house is where Delta's training becomes something found nowhere else in any military on Earth. You breach a room with live ammunition. Your colleagues are physically inside that room acting as hostages. You enter, you acquire your targets, and you fire live rounds within inches of the people you work alongside every day. The trust required for this to function is absolute. The precision required is beyond what any other unit trains to, then tradecraft. This is the block nobody talks about. CIA-style skills, surveillance, counter-surveillance, dead drops, cover identities, how to operate undercover in a foreign city as a civilian. By the end of OTC, a Delta operator can disappear into the streets of any city on Earth as completely as any intelligence officer. The rifle and the cover identity are the same tool set. Level 5. The Operator. You are in, you don't exist. From the moment you join Delta Force, you effectively vanish from the standard Army personnel system. Your records are classified. Your assignment is classified. You live on civilian clothing status, meaning you almost never wear a military uniform. When you do, it carries no name tape, no rank insignia, no branch markings. You are a soldier with no public identity. Your hair can be as long as you want. Your beard can be as full as you want. The grooming standards that define military life everywhere else simply do not apply to you. The reason is operational. You need to be able to blend into any environment, any country, any social setting. A man with a high and tight haircut and a clean shave walks into a market in the Middle East and is identified immediately. You can't afford to be identified. Your aviation support arrives in helicopters painted to look like civilian aircraft with fabricated registration numbers. Your transport on sensitive missions looks like a private charter. Your command post at the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics was reportedly inside a Budweiser delivery truck. The beer truck sitting outside the stadium was Delta Force. Your days when not deployed are built around training. You wake before sunrise and you train. You shoot more rounds in a single month than most soldiers fire in a career. You run scenarios. You study intelligence. You maintain the precision that the shoot house demands. You train because the moment the call comes, there is no warm-up period. You are at war footing permanently. That is the phrase Eric Haney used, permanently on war footing. Every day you are not deployed is a day of preparation for when you are. Level 6. The Mission. The call comes with no warning. You are asleep, or at dinner, or at your child's school play, and the pager goes off. Delta still uses pagers in some contexts, specifically because they are harder to intercept than digital signals. You move. You don't tell your family where you are going. You often don't know yourself until you are airborne. The mission profile is classified at every level. Your team knows what they need to know for their specific role. Nobody knows the complete picture except the command element. This compartmentalization is deliberate. If any part of the team is captured, the total operational picture cannot be extracted. Delta Force has captured or eliminated some of the most high-value targets in modern history. The capture of Saddam Hussein in 2003, the killing of ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi in 2019. These are the missions that appear in briefings decades later. Most never appear anywhere. In Mogadishu in 1993, 2 Delta operators, Master Sergeant Gary Gordon and Sergeant First Class Randall Shugart, were providing sniper cover from a helicopter when they watched a second Black Hawk get shot down. They knew the crew would be overrun before rescue could arrive. They asked their commanders for permission to insert on the ground. Refused. They asked again. Refused again. They asked a third time. Permission granted. Armed with only their personal weapons, they fought their way to the crash site and held off thousands of armed militia members until both were killed. They saved the life of the injured pilot, Michael Durant. They were posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor, the first since Vietnam. They knew what they were asking for when they asked the third time. Level 7. The Veteran Operator. You've been in for a decade, maybe two. You are not young anymore by the standards of this work. The body that passed the long walk and completed the shoot house has been through deployments that left marks that don't show in personnel files that don't exist. Delta operators who reach this level become the institution's memory. They sit on selection boards. They are the fully detailed faces across the table from a broken candidate who just finished the long walk. They are the command sergeants major asking the questions that have no right answers. The weight they carry is not discussed publicly. The missions are classified. The losses are attributed to other units. The decorations, when they exist, are sometimes awarded in private ceremonies with no press, no public record, and family members asked to say nothing. You built a career that the country will never fully acknowledge. You operated under a name that wasn't yours, in clothes that weren't a uniform, in aircraft with registration numbers that don't appear in any civilian database. You kept a secret that the government still officially denies. And somewhere out there, right now, the person who replaces you is standing in line at a grocery store, or at a school gate, or at an airport, looking exactly like nobody. That is Delta Force, every rank, every truth. The unit the government doesn't acknowledge, the operators who don't exist, the men who asked 3 times and knew exactly what the answer meant. This is the living rank. Subscribe, and we'll see you inside the next one.